And welcome back to Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network, presented by RRT Productions. Visit neosportsinsiders.com, where they have all Cleveland sports, the Lake Erie Monsters, Cleveland State Vikings, fantasy football, high school, where they have all of our podcasts.
In association with Studio J.
That's right, Studio J in Brunswick, Ohio. We have Ed Dick. He was via phone today. Want to thank him, part of the Z's Cream and Bean phone line there, as he called in on our hotline.
Or cold line.
Cold line, yeah.
There it is.
Right now, it's pretty cold outside.
It's the Z's Cream and Beat cold line.
Sean Duffy and Ed, not Ed.
No. Ed Dick's not here. It's Josh Jeffrey every time.
Josh Jeffy's here, and I'm Rob Troutman.
He's always on our mind.
Yeah, I'm still impressed with
love him.
With what he did last. Giving us the recaps of the game.
He's
Very
just
impressive.
really in depth. I like that.
And that's what the people love. They've spoken. They love it.
I don't know.
But we're going to get to the matchups.
Yeah.
As we look ahead, and this is the regional, the state semifinals and regional finals coming up.
No, it's all state semis.
All state semis.
Oh yeah, what am I?
It's Final Fours.
That's right, state semifinals.
Starting out.
And we'll start out in Region 1, Division 1. And go down the line. And these games, this game is at 7 p.m., and it's on Saturday, actually.
Yep.
So it's going to be the number 1 St. Edward Eagles at 12-1 against the number 2 seed Stowe Monroe Falls at 12-0. And that's at Parma Byers Field. And we kind of went over it with that a little bit, that Lakewood and Cole Guest had a great game against
or
Euclid.
St. Ed's.
What did I say?
Lakewood. I mean, it's
Lakewood
same thing.
St. Ed's. Yeah, not Lakewood. They I don't even know if they won a game this year, but that's
Lakewood.
okay. It's St. Edward Eagles.
There you go.
And
St.
Cole Guest. And when you look at what they did against Euclid, running the football, it was not great weather, but Stowe's defense has been solid all year. So I think that's just a great matchup. And when you get to these kind of games now, like we talked about earlier, turnovers are so huge. Can Stowe create some turnovers from St. Edward? That's going to be tough to do. St. Ed's very good, and we'll see what happens.
Well, sorry, Sean. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay. I forgot what I was going to say.
I'll get it then. When you look at this matchup, the first thing that comes to mind is battle of the running backs. You got Cole Guest, Jason Gobble. Top two of the top running backs in Northeast Ohio, especially this year. And then, as we talked about earlier, the St. Ed's defense and the Stowe defense have really picked up their games here of late. So this is going to be kind of a drag it out, knock down kind of a football matchup. I'll be very surprised if this one is going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be one of those games where I think it might come down to the last possession, whoever has the ball last, and whoever can limit turnovers, like you mentioned in the last segment there, Rob. Turnovers are huge, and when you come to state semifinal games, it's even becomes greater. So this is going to be a great game to watch. I mean, all these playoff games, when you come to state semifinals, they're going to be fun. But when you're talking about the big boys in D1, Region 1, these are the top two teams, top 2 seeds in the region going at it, trying to win.
See, I got a feeling this is going to be, and I hate to say it because Stowe's had such a great year. I'm concerned that we're now seeing St. Edward establish dominance in a lot of these games. Mm-hmm. I mean, outside of that Cleveland Heights game, or was it Cleveland Heights?
Yes.
Yeah, Cleveland Heights.
They've really kind of steamrolled, and I kind of think they're at this point now where they're laser focused on winning that state championship, and they're just looking at Stowe as now. Again, these are kids playing football, but I just think that coaching staff at St. Ed's has got that team laser focused on getting to Ohio Stadium next week or the weekend after and getting their second straight championship. I kind of have a feeling that St. Ed's is going to kind of put whoever they got to play on notice the week after, that you're going to have to come and play absolutely perfect in order to compete with us. And I think I hate to say it, Stowe fans, but I think St. Ed's has got your number, and it's not going to be pretty coming Saturday night.
Well, there you heard it from Sean Duffy.
Now, I want to preface this by saying I could be wrong, and I really often am wrong. So
this could actually go to Stowe's advantage.
Right, I could be helping you out, Stowe, so don't start barking at me on Twitter.
Well, one of the teams they could face in D1 Region 2 is the number 1 Cincinnati Coleraine. They're at 12-1 against Huber Heights Wayne. They're the 3 seed at 13-0, and that will be played at Mason Dwyer Field at Atrium Stadium. And Cincinnati Coleraine, we've heard of them, and Huber Heights Wayne always seems like they're there, and something's funny.
It's
Coleraine.
Coleraine.
Just how
Coleraine.
it looks.
It's Cincinnati Coleraine.
I've heard it both ways.
Well, I will give it to him. I have heard it
Coleraine.
other ways too, but
Coleraine.
it is Coleraine.
All right,
It's
Coleraine.
Coleraine, yep.
There you go. They're 12-1, and Huber Heights Wayne. They have a lot of talent. They're 13-0 again. They're there every year. So looking at both these teams, we haven't seen a lot of footage from them, but they're going to put up some points.
I think that one's going to be an actual shootout. I think that one's going to be a high scoring, and I think it's going to be more like Josh described the St. Ed's Stowe game. It's going to be whoever has the ball last is going to win that game because I think both those teams can put up points. Defensively, they can also, they can stop people. But like I said, I think that's going to be a very entertaining game. But like I said, I think it's food for the beast in St. Ed's the next week. I really do. But who knows? I mean, like you said, Wayne's 13-0. I mean, they've beaten everybody they've come across this year. That's a tough team to play. Same thing with Cincinnati Coleraine. So it'll be fun to watch, to monitor those games. I don't know if we'll be able to watch those games pretty much just because we're not in that region, but. Good luck to both those teams.
We'll eventually see some of them in the championship.
We'll see one of them, yeah,
at some point. But heading to Division II, and we talked about them a little bit. Number 1 Massillon Perry at 11-2 takes on number 5 Hudson at 11-2 at Solon Stewart Field. Ed got really involved and in depth with this game, and Massillon Perry very impressive this year, putting up a lot of points. But Hudson's defense is a team that's really put the clamps down on defense, and their offense has also put up some points. So this is going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, when you look at a team like Hudson, they kind of got off to a slow start this year, but their veteran coaching staff and their players on that team that have been in the culture of Hudson and that playoff successful culture, that's really starting to shine through now when you come to the playoffs. I mean, they're in the state semifinals. Now they got a tough matchup against Perry. Perry has done really well this season, so this is going to be a pretty tough matchup, I think, for Hudson. They just are on a magical run right now. They're playing really good football. They're playing the best football. It's kind of one of those things where you have one team, it seems like, at every level.
Yep.
Ohio State was a good example of that last year. They were hot at the right time, and then they ran the table. Mm-hmm. So Hudson could be that team. They're very hot right now. They're playing excellent football and coming in at a number 5 seed in the region. That's pretty good.
Scariest team to play. Any coach will tell you. Scariest team to play is a team that plays defense well.
Yeah.
Who plays assignment football, no matter if you're playing an option, whatever kind of offense you're running. If you can get kids to buy into a program, to a scheme, and commit to being masters at it, and I think that's what the Hudson coaching staff has finally done here, or has really got not so much done, but has got it to the point where it's automatic for these kids. They know how to. They know they have the ultimate confidence going into a game. I look for Hudson to really take it to Perry here. I think that's going to that's going to be a fun game to watch, just because I'm really intrigued to see if Hudson can carry over that amazing performance from last week into this week against another team that has the potential to put up points in a hurry. And I think, not to say that Hudson can't. I just think that Hudson's team right now is predicated on the fact that they can stop any team they play and allow their offense to, put up some points, but not. I don't think they survive in a track. If it becomes a track meet, I think that's where Perry has the advantage. I think that's what Perry wants it to become, is where they can get in a rhythm, start scoring points quickly, and put Hudson back on their heels. And if Hudson can dig in and play solid defense, I think they have a shot at making that a very, very, very uncomfortable game for Perry.
Yeah, I'm interested to see it. Say Massillon Perry scores first, how a Hudson defense would come back.
Right.
Would that maybe get them down in the dumps, or would they come back stronger than ever? Because it is tough, especially once you get down. How do you come back with that? Because Massillon Perry's a team that puts up some points, but like you said, Roman Moreno for Hudson, to establish that running game is going to be pretty important. He goes on both sides of the ball. He's also on defense, so that's going to be fun game to watch. In Division II.
And I also, you mentioned it, Rob. What happens if they score? I think the issue is what happens if Perry gets on a roll or in a rhythm and they become opportunistic on defense. What if a team like Hudson is very controlling of the clock, very controlling of the game plan, and I think if they get put off their comfort zone, put out of their comfort zone. You're right. They have that tendency to backslide, but I think they've had that because they're the number 5 team in their region right now, and they won the region, so they have a lot of confidence right now. And a confident football team is something that the coaching staff, the Perry has to warn them about. This Hudson team doesn't think they can be beat defensively, and that's a scary confidence to have. So like I said, I think that's going to be a fun game to watch.
Well, we'll move to the next game. It's a Final Four in D2. We have number 2 Perrysburg at 13-0, taking on the number 1 team, Cincinnati LaSalle, at Piqua Alexander Stadium, Perk Field. And Perrysburg, we've covered them, lately in the playoffs because they play teams in the Southwestern Conference like North Ridgeville and Avon, and they've been dominant so far in the playoffs. They're 13-0. Cincinnati LaSalle has 2 losses, but this is going to be no easy task for Perrysburg. I thought Glenville was really going to give Perrysburg a run for their money, but Perrysburg, again, offensively, they just continue a very strong offensive performance, but give credit to their defense.
Yeah.
Clamping down a DeMario McCall and a high, potent Avon offense.
Yeah.
So Perrysburg against Cincinnati LaSalle, this should be another great game.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of the measuring stick because I think Perrysburg kind of ran roughshod when they were going through their region. Now they're in the state semifinals, and they're going up against one of the powerhouses, if not the powerhouse in Division II, and that's LaSalle. And this is going to be interesting to see how it comes out in the very beginning of this ball game. How will Perrysburg set the tone? LaSalle's supposed to be here. Perrysburg had a great year, but I think the overwhelming favorite in this matchup will be LaSalle just because they're supposed to be here. So Perrysburg maybe will have that as far as, kind of building some confidence and trying to gain an advantage that way. But like you said, Rob, Perrysburg has been an offensive explosion. And it doesn't matter what the weather is.
Yeah.
They're just putting up points like it was no joke. 35-0, 48-21, and then last week 50-19. So they're definitely putting up the points. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens and how Perrysburg comes out and attacks LaSalle.
Well, and you also look at Cincinnati LaSalle. They're no schlubs putting up points either.
Right.
They've been kind of running roughshod through their division through their region as well. I don't think they've really faced any real challenge to their title defense from last year. So, like I said, this is probably the marquee game. If we're college game daying this, we would be at Piqua Alexander Stadium because this would be the game. I would say that for sure because
nice.
These are 2 teams that are used. Very similar to Cincinnati Colerain and Huber Heights Wayne. But I'm saying like these 2 teams right here. I think whoever wins this game has an inside track to win the state championship. I think that they would be the favorite going in. And that's not to take anything away from Perry or Hudson. I think it's just these 2 teams this year in Division II have been the best week in and week out. Despite those 2 losses for Cincinnati LaSalle, I'm willing to say that I don't think anybody wanted to play LaSalle at any point in time during the season. The 2 losses, yes, do maybe strike a little bit of, fear in that heart, but I just really think that game, to me, if I have an opportunity to go see that game, I would definitely take advantage of it because those are going to be 2, like you said, high potent offenses and 2 really good defenses going at each other, and I think that's going to be one of those games where it's like, all right, it's 4th quarter, 2 minutes to go. you got to drive down and score a touchdown to win this and go to the state championship. If you don't, you don't win. I mean, win or go home, and that's where we're at right now. And that's the best part about these playoffs is two really good programs, one that's an up-and-coming team and one that's more established, playing and really kind of playing for the right to go represent, their school in the state championship.
Well, and this D2 will be at 7:30 on Friday. So these games are on Friday. Now moving to Division III, these games also on Friday at 7:30. We have the number one, and the first team I mentioned will be the home team here, is Akron Archbishop Hoban at 12-1 against the number 3 seed Zanesville at 12-1. This at Massillon Tigers Stadium. And, Hoban probably is going to feel a little bit at home here, not going too far away. We followed them a little bit this year. Very impressive team. And we've seen some games at Massillon Tiger Stadium. And if you can get out to this stadium, it's a lot of fun. Me and Josh went there early in the year to see Massillon play. And, just a great place to watch high school playoff football and regular season football, too, but a lot of history here. Zanesville only has one loss. Archbishop Hoban one loss. This is going to be a fun game to watch. All these games are fun to watch, but so if you want to see some high scoring, really see some athletes and play well, this is the time it's going to happen.
Yeah, Hoban kind of ran the table during the season. They did have their one loss though, but I think hopefully for their sake they didn't realize that last week. For the regional championship against their rival St. Vincent St. Mary. Hopefully they didn't get too high for that game and then don't come down after that. That's going to be the important job of the coaching staff to make sure. I'm sure there's not going to be much in as far as the way as motivation needed for Hoban in this game. But again, they don't have to travel that far, so that could be a blessing in disguise. Paul Brown Stadium is one of the bigger stadiums in high school football, holds about 16,000 people thereabouts, and if majority of those are Hoban fans, that's only going to be good for them.
Yeah, and looking at a Zanesville team, they started off against a 0-10 Newark team and they won 20-17, but they had some close games early on in the season, but winning some pretty, it helps. Their only loss is against New Philadelphia. New Philadelphia was 8-3, and they lost 13-10 in overtime there. So, Zanesville had some close games. One of their playoff games was a 9-3 win over St. Francis de Sales from Columbus. And then they also played Jackson, who was 11-2. They won 38-21. That was last week. So Zanesville, still had some pretty close games, but won. And Archbishop Hoban, looking at some of their games, they were just dominant. 3 games to start the season. They won 49-0, 25-0, 27-0. Lately, though, St. Vincent St. Mary was close in Louisville, 21-14. So they won a few playoff games here on neutral sites that were really close. And they played New Philadelphia and won 35-21, that being a home game. So they also played New Philadelphia and pretty much dominated them. But now you're in the playoffs, so it doesn't matter. So
throw records out the window.
That's right. That's why they play the games.
Win or go home, all the cliches.
And they'll look. One of the winners of that game will play the number 2 Toledo Central Catholic team at 11-2, or the number 3 Trotwood Madison. They're 10-3 this year. That's at Sidney Memorial Stadium. And Central Catholic, they're always there every year, and so is Trotwood Madison.
Yep.
So both of these teams know how to win in the playoffs, and they continue their success here in the playoffs. Both of these games will be at 7:30 p.m. on Friday, so we'll see what happens.
And one other thing, when I'm looking at these 4 teams, I'm looking at 4 teams that have a legitimate shot to win, a state championship. Every single one of these teams has had close games, has had to win out in their region, and it's definitely allowed them to kind of feel that confidence coming into it. So as much as I'm looking over these matchups, Rob, I think the one thing you can say is that any one of these 4 teams can become a state champion here. That's obviously stating the obvious, but I'm thinking, as I'm looking at these teams, I really do see there's not a lot of difference between a lot of these teams, and I think it's again, these are all type of games where I wouldn't be shocked at any winner. I mean, I don't think there's a prohibitive favorite going in here. Yeah, you can make a case for Toledo Catholic Central. They're there every year, and the same thing with possibly Hoban after getting over St. Vincent St. Mary. But I think Josh brings up a really great point. If you're going into the regional final and you got to beat St. Vincent St. Mary, you know what I mean? You're going to get up for that game, and the biggest fear for any coach outside of playing a team with a really good defense is your team laying it all on the line, coming out and winning that game against a rival to go to the state Final Four, but then coming out and laying an egg in the state Final Four and not completing the mission. That's what a lot of teams have to realize is that this is a for lack of a better phrase, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You're not there. I mean, yeah, beat St. Vincent St. Mary is great, but guess what? It means nothing if you come out and you can't beat Zanesville to go to the state championship game. And like I said before, any four of these teams I think are deserving of or would be a prohibitive favorite had they not playing each other. And I think that's the one thing about this division that's really interesting is that these teams are so close and so good that it's real. Like if you had to force me to make a pick, I don't know who I would pick in these games just because the teams are that close, and it really could come down to the bounce of the ball. It could come down to a penalty. You don't want it to, but it could come down to a controversial call or something like that. So I think outside of the Division II, I think Division III is a stout division, and probably one of the funner divisions to watch. I mean, yeah, I think Division I gets a lot of play because it's the big schools, it's the St. Ed's, the St. Ignatius, the Menors, all that. But I think D2, D3, even D4 are really good because there's a lot of parity there. There's a lot of teams that are good, they're scrappy, that come out of nowhere, and there's potential for a lot of upsets. You're looking at this and you see only one number one seed in this. In four regions here, only one number one seed made it. So that tells me right there that it's not going the way the prognosticators had it. They say a Trotwood team a 3 seed, Zanesville a 3 seed, Toledo Catholic Central was a 2 seed. Maybe they should have been a 1 seed, but they weren't. And when they went in and won their region, and now they're playing, possibly have a chance to play for state championship.
Well, we'll move on to D4.
Yeah.
And these games are Saturday at 7 p.m. Number 1, Steubenville at 12-0 takes on number 5, Youngstown Ursuline. They're 8-5 on the year. This at Boardman New Spartan Stadium. We watched, I believe, Youngstown Ursuline play. Good running team there, and that'll be a fun one. Steubenville always tough. And the other game is number 1, Middletown Bishop Fenwick at 13-0, taking on number 1, Columbus Bishop Hartley at 9-3 at Wilmington Alumni Field, and that's Division 4. Division 5 on those games will be at 7:30 on Friday. It's Milan Edison at 12-1, taking on the number 3 seed Canton Central Catholic at 9-3 record at Worcester Triway Jack Miller Field. And Edison, a small school
who clinched the regional championship here in Brunswick.
That's right. They were
Brunswick Automart Stadium.
And I'm sure, a lot of people got out to see them because a smaller school, but, man, what a great ride they've had so far this year. And the other game is number 3, Coldwater, who's there every year at 13-0, taking on number 1, Wheelersburg at 13-0 at Xenia Doug Adams Stadium.
What's amazing for that is, Coldwater's 13-0, and they were the number 3 seed.
Yeah, I looked at that too, but
wow.
Being from that area, from the Southern Ohio area in Southwest Ohio, it seemed every single year, even when I was in middle school, that Coldwater was either in the playoffs deep or winning state championships. So one thing I never do is I never bet against Tom Izzo in the NCAA tournament. I never ever go against Bill Belichick and Tom Brady when they're down. And I'm not going to bet against Coldwater in a playoff game. I just don't do it. They don't lose a lot of them. So definitely, that's whenever I see Coldwater, I immediately go, they're going to win. But like I said, Wheelersburg's 13-0. Edison, that was pretty cool that small school like that. I mean, they're all small schools, but was able to clinch that here in Brunswick. And Canton Central Catholic, I don't know a lot about them, but whenever I see a team with a couple losses and not undefeated going into the playoffs, your natural tendency, especially with Youngstown Ursuline, I mean, they're 8-5 going into this. That means at some point they were probably a 5-5 team coming in.
Well, and they
were a 5-5 team coming into the
Massillon.
playoffs, right?
And they're a tough team. They like to run the ball. They can pass. Defensively, they're pretty good, but like I said, that's going to be a fun one to watch with Youngstown Ursuline as well.
I mean, I like the underdog aspect of it. You have 5 losses, and a lot of people say, well, you're not making the playoffs, and somehow you squeak in, and you make the most of your chance there. I don't know if they were – I mean, obviously as a 5 seed in an 8-team region, they were probably, playing some good competition. But if I'm looking at the records, you got to go with the underdog, right?
Well, that's why we tell, the kids out there playing high school football, just get into the playoffs, and you never know what can happen, and it shows with some of these games. We'll move to D6. We'll give D6 and 7 some love as well. Games for D6 at 7 p.m. on Saturday has number 1 Kirtland at 12-1 taking on number 3 Grandview Heights at 12-1, and that's at Mansfield Madison Ram Field at Star Tech Stadium. And I almost wanted to say Star Trek.
I almost thought
I
was about to wow, Star Trek Stadium. Wow, that's awesome.
We need Khan there.
Khan.
Kind of trailed there at the end.
We should have had him.
You have to.
Do a little voiceover for our show.
Yeah.
Was Zach Khan?
Is
he
a junior or a senior?
Senior.
He's a senior this year.
Well, you can still do it.
There's still time. He plays baseball. We'll be covering some baseball.
There you go.
True. I guess.
The other game is the number 1 Maria Stein Marion local at 12-1 against number 2 Defiance Tenora at Wapakoneta Harmon Field.
Yep.
Say that 10 times fast.
Wapakoneta.
Fast.
I'm not saying Wapa because
you're saying
Wapakoneta. Yeah.
But, good luck to all these teams. Kirtland's always in it. We hear about them, and the same for Marion Local and all these teams. Congratulations on making it this far in the Final Four, and good luck in the playoffs. Now, the D7, those games are at 7:30 on Friday. Has number 1 Danville at 13-0, taking on number 2 Mogador. At 12-1 at Orville Red Rider Stadium. So Mogador, you hear about them quite a bit during the season. Good luck to both of those
Very
teams.
good Division 7 program.
Yeah, and you see it a lot with these guys. They don't get a lot of pub like some of the larger schools, but these kids play hard and a lot of fun to watch. Really, anywhere from D1 to D7. You got to get out and see some of these kids. A lot of talent out there, and some of these kids will go on to colleges. You might not hear about them, but they could go D1 as well. And the other game is the 3rd-ranked Fort Recovery at 11-2, taking on number 1 Macomb at 12-1 record at Lima Senior Spartan Stadium. So there is the Final Four for the D7. And
that's it.
Good luck to everyone. Yeah, that's it. That wraps it up.
No more games
for some of the matchups. I thought we had some fun this year so far. Almost winding down the season.
I know.
And I want to thank everyone really who's listened and been a part of our shows, especially the coaches and players out there, and our staff here at Sports on Tap: Josh Jeffy, Ed Dick, Sean Duffy,
our staff,
Rob Troutman. I'm the host.
Well, I mean, wow, power trip.
That's right.
I'm the host, Rob. Okay.
Troutman.
We're just his staff. He allows us to speak.
Yep, we're the unpaid interns.
With no perks.
Want to thank Z's Cream and Bean. And, hey, everyone, next Thursday.
Yeah.
Week after Thanksgiving here, we'll be up at Z's Cream and Bean in Hinckley, Ohio, 2706 Boston Road. We have some guests that haven't been completely confirmed, but
We'll just give you the heads up. We're going to be previewing the state championship football games, but we're also going to be getting into our winter sports seasons.
Yay!
Talking a little basketball, possibly talking some hockey, some other good stuff. So, again, if you are a winter sports coach or player out there,
absolutely,
drop us an email at sportsontap.podcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter at SOT Podcast. Like our page on Facebook. You can send us a message there. And we would love to get you on, talk about your program, talk about your players, talk about your season, and what you have coming up.
And also, if you want to stop out to Z's Cream and Bean, I don't think there's anything that suits a pre-New Year's diet as much as turkey and stuffing on one Thursday, followed up by a beautiful, lovely milkshake on the next Thursday.
And if it is a little
That's right.
chilly, they do have
Chili.
chili. Very good. Dynamite drop it, man. They also have their coffee, which is very good,
Coffee's
and
excellent.
hot chocolate, among others.
And
So
don't-
come on up and join us.
And also, don't forget to check out NEO Sports Insiders. We are a part of that website. But also, as for a guy who's been out on assignment, the only way I can keep up with local Cleveland sports and what's going on with the Browns and the Cavs,
or what's not going on with the Browns.
and even the Monsters and
Oh wait, is that Johnny Manziel parting again? I think it is.
yeah, from last year. Calm down.
Please.
Anyway, but yeah,
All
it's a
right.
great site, wealth of information if you need to keep up
That's right.
with local in Northeast Ohio sports. So, give it a shout out, give it a shot. It's definitely a good website to see.
That's right.
Being-
It's a lot of fun.
being-
Matt Lodi does a great
yes,
job with the website.
Excellent job.
NEOSportsInsiders.com. Visit the website. Great job, Sean.
Yeah.
You hit that one on the head, man. All right. For Sean Duffy, Josh Jeffy, Ed Dick, I'm Rob Troutman. We're Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network, presented by RRT Productions. Good luck to all the teams, coaches, players out there. Have fun, and we'll see you next week.
FNG.
See ya.
Week or the weekend after and getting their second straight championship.